After Michael Chandler's recent debut, being labeled by many as the best UFC debut in history, it got us thinking where he really ranks among the best. Our list is not based on one factor. It's based on a combination of the performance, the conditions, the opponent, and the overall impact of the outcome. Number 5, Conor McGregor vs. Marcus Brimage. On April 6th, back in 2013, Conor McGregor made his UFC debut. McGregor came into the bout with about as much hype as you could when making your debut. He was a double champion from Cage Warriors, and earlier in the year, received praise from Joe Rogan after capturing his second belt. A shout out that could have played a huge part in his signing with the promotion. At the time, Brimage was 7-2 in MMA and in the midst of a 3-fight win streak after a stint on The Ultimate Fighter. He was best known for his striking skills and posed as a legitimate test to the Irishman. However, it took McGregor just 67 seconds to knock him out with a beautiful barrage of uppercuts, and the rest, as they say, is history. Number 4, Junior Dos Santos vs. Fabricio Werdum. Back in 2008, former UFC heavyweight champion Junior Dos Santos made his debut against one of, if not the most accomplished heavyweight in MMA history, Fabricio Werdum. Werdum is a multi-promotion champion with wins over the likes of Fedor, Cain Velasquez, Antonio Nogueira, Alistair Overeem, and many more. JDS came in relatively unknown after fighting in Brazil in his previous bout, but he couldn't have made a bigger statement on the big stage. In just 1 minute and 21 seconds, Werdum was unconscious after receiving a vicious uppercut. This was the beginning of a 9-fight win streak inside the octagon, where JDS held the undisputed UFC heavyweight title for a brief period of time. Recency bias is very real, but it didn't help Chandler take the top spot on our list. It did, however, put him at number 3. In 2020, Chandler came from Bellator MMA and signed with the UFC. He had once held the lightweight championship in Bellator and had somewhat of a target on his back after being the face of the rival promotion for so many years. What helped him get so many eyeballs coming in was the fact that his first act of business was to be an alternate for the title fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje. That fight went ahead, and it wouldn't be until a few months later that we'd see Chandler enter the UFC octagon for the first time. He did so against lightweight contender Dan Hooker. Hooker was 3-1 in his last 4, with that recent loss coming to Dustin Poirier. Chandler had no plans to experience the UFC jitters. He went right after the Hangman and pushed the pace until knocking him out just halfway through the first round. What might be just as impressive as the performance was the post-fight speech, where he called out everyone at the top of the division and staked his claim in the rankings. Number 2, Alistair Overeem vs. Brock Lesnar. If you ask Alistair Overeem, he'll tell you he should be number 1 on this list. Maybe he's right, but he's number 2 on ours. In 2011, he debuted against one of the biggest stars in the sport's history, Brock Lesnar. Overeem was already well accomplished in the sport after holding multiple titles in various organizations, but brand new to the UFC. Lesnar was 4-1 in his last 5, with his last loss coming to Cain Velasquez, who took the UFC heavyweight title from him. The fight would be as big as it gets in more ways than one. Both tipped the scales at around 265 pounds apiece, and it was Lesnar's first fight since losing the title. The WWE star return was ruined by the Demolition Man, who used a series of head and body strikes that would TKO the former champion just halfway through the very first round. At number 1, we've got the Spider taking on Chris Leben. Leben at the time was on a 5-fight win streak and looking like a real force to be reckoned with in the UFC's middleweight division. However, it took Silva just 49 seconds to dispose of his first UFC opponent, showcasing some of the best display of accuracy and deadly striking that we've ever witnessed inside the octagon. Silva landed 17 of 20 strikes, all to the head, whereas Leben only landed once before being finished. This was the start of a legendary 16-fight win streak from Silva, which would secure his place as one of the greatest fighters of all time. An honorable mention goes to Lando Vannata vs. Tony Ferguson. Although Lando lost, he took on a Ferguson who was in the midst of a 12-fight win streak. Debuts don't come much tougher than that, especially on just around 2 weeks' notice. Ferguson was 3rd in the lightweight rankings, and it seemed like an impossible task for Lando to step in on short notice and take on the boogeyman. It turned out to be an instant classic, with crazy exchanges which almost saw Ferguson's win streak come to an end via TKO, in what would have been a huge upset. Ferguson did what he has done so often though, and overcame the adversity to score a submission win over the newcomer. That's it from us. Let us know what you'd pick, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, which will be coming soon.